Dantiez, Saunderson. Yeah. Obviously, you come from a techno family.
Right.
You didn't start as early as you might think, right? You're quite recent, quite new to the game.
Yeah, actually, my pop's being who he is, Kevin Saunderson, and all that. So he's known as the elevator. I was born into it. Kind of didn't start off making music at all. Not until about 3 years ago, I would say. I was doing mainly sports when I was growing up. My pops was traveling a lot. You know, come home, showing me little things here and there, but I never really caught my ear. But you know, around 3 years ago, when I was a senior in high school, right, you know, you started seeing this big fluctuation of electronic music and as a whole, EDM, underground, just coming, you know, to the younger generations, coming full scale back to America and all that. So hanging out with my peers and all, and I see them going out to these clubs, so I start, you know, going out and catching the vibe on my own, and that's, you know, that's kind of my first inspiration. And then 3 years ago as well, I actually got to join Richie and the gang on their first Control tour.
Yeah, that's right.
And that, I guess that would say that set it off for me, you know.
Cool. So why do you think it took that? You knew what your dad was up to.
Right.
You just weren't interested, or were you more interested?
Well, it wasn't that I wasn't, you know, fully interested in it. I was always, you know, interesting, you know. What is he doing? Like, how's he making these sounds? You know, this music is, you know, is great. But, you know, I was more a hip-hop guy.
Sure.
And, you know, I didn't understand it fully, I guess.
So what was your first setup like? Did you go to him and then he was like, okay, I can help you? Or
I went on the road with him a little bit,
Okay.
and kind of got to see what he did full scale and play for all these people and whatnot. And, you know, that kind of opened my eyes to, you know, I want to kind of pursue this myself and make my own path. So
Cool. So you were DJing as well at the time?
yeah, I started DJing before I was producing, just, you know, local parties in Detroit around friends and local promoters, and making my rounds, Chicago, Detroit, and so did that for about a year before I started producing, yeah.
And what were your main influences? What kind of thing were you playing out?
A wide variety, a lot of Detroit cats, you know, Carl Craig is a legend, my pops, obviously, Kenny Larkin, Derek May, Juan Atkins, all legends, you know. On top of that, you know, some of the European cats really caught my ear and my sound, like Pig and Dan. I don't know if you heard of them. They make really dope techno. They're from Spain, I think. Pig and Dan, Seth Troxler, you know, I like his stuff. I like, especially DJing wise, I like his sets. You know, a lot of influence, Maceo Plex, you know, there's
Yeah.
You know, a lot.
So how did you learn production? Was it just a case of trial and error? Did you have help from people?
Producers and artists and musicians, you know, I kind of picked up things here and there from them, but mainly it was just hitting the books, you know, sitting down, hitting the books, and doing my research. A lot of tutorial videos, but really just repetition and, you know, doing it.
Cool. Was there a track or a moment where that you finished something, you went, okay, this is good. I like this. This is cool. I can do this.
You finish your first track and you're gonna be like, oh, this is so great. This is so great. You know, 2 weeks go by and you like listen to it and you're like, you know what, it could be a little better. So, you know, you just keep working on your sound and developing it, and you know, there be, you know, throughout your journey and your production journey, you'll hear your sound develop and hear those tracks that are really going to be like, wow, you know. So for me, I guess, there's a lot of them, but I guess my recent one, maybe Place Called Home, I have released on Defected. That just came out a few weeks ago here. You know, that was a really special one for me, so special release.
Sure. I guess that learning process never really stops, no matter how long you've been doing it for, because we were just talking about, you know, you're showing your father, Kevin, some new technology and getting him excited about stuff again. So it's definitely a two-way thing.
Definitely. You never stop learning. The moment you stop learning or stop being willing to learning, it's how to enhance your skills and your artistic value. That's when you should just stop altogether. You know, always keep learning.
Cool. So shall we dive straight into this Ableton project? Do you want to introduce your workflow, I guess?
Okay, so I got my basic template here. So then when I start up, you know, I got everything standard that I want, at least. At least I start my template, and over time you can build on that. So I got my kick, you know, nice punchy kick coming through. I'm actually using Nicky Romero's kick plugin. It's super serious. You know, all the samples in it are great, and the best thing about it is it sounds mastered and processed already. So when you're mixing your track, I base my track, you know, around my kick. I mix it around my kick, and you know, you get a nice fat kick, and at the end you mix everything around it, then your whole track's gonna be fuller, you know, and sound big.
So that whole kick is coming from that one plugin?
Oh yeah, from that one plugin. Just one kick, not even layered yet. So got that, and from here I would just kind of start building my little bit percussion, get the vibe going, you know. So I got Ableton's stock, actually. They have stock samples in their drum rack. It's built in 909 classic, so you got your opens, your toms, you know, everything standard. Keep everything pretty much 4/4 at first, you know, and then you get experimental. I get experimental at least after, so. Kind of tune it.
So that's just shortening the decay of this.
Yeah, yeah. I'm tuning it and all the parameters right here, and this is all Ableton stock. So.
So when you're tuning a percussion, you're just going for a vibe. You're not really going for anything tonal.
Yeah, I'm going for a vibe right now, basically. Okay, so we got that. Maybe I did write in a bass line earlier just to save time, but we can try to see if we can come up with something. It's just something really simple.
And what synth is that? Is that just another?
This is Massive right here.
Okay.
Massive is like my go-to. You got like everything in one spot, powerful sound. So let's do this. Kind of crop it out and take what I like, quantize it. I'm gonna take this and do a little mixing, you know, I kind of mix as I go along. So maybe do a sidechain, got your compressor, route it to a ghost kick, which is actually, you know, it's your kick that you have, but it's muted. So the kick, so basically when you're sidechaining anything, I'm gonna sidechain my bass to my kick right now. And when you're sidechaining anything to anything, basically it's taking the signal from the kick, sending it back to this compressor here. And this compressor is gonna basically on the bass now, it's gonna duck out the volume when the kick is hitting. So when the kick is hitting, the force of the kick, it's gonna duck the bass out, so basically the kick can shine through and come through in the mix, right? So this is really heavy. You just kind of play with it. Opens up room and it opens up space in the track and all that. Do it on pretty much everything. So this is sidechaining and compressing.
And would you go to that over EQing a place for the kick, or do you do that as well?
No, EQ as well. You know, it's kind of just to give it the whole track air at the end. So everything sidechain, that means the kick's coming through. You can hear the kick. Everything around it is gonna be, you know, around it. All my loops organized, you know, sample magic, sample or loop masters, all that. Just maybe do some output right here in New York. Output's got a nice drum pad. That's pretty nice, yeah. top. Kind of want to label things as I go along so I don't get lost. And there's no right or wrong way, to produce or to make music. Happy accidents are kind of the best thing. So kind of, don't take anything I do to heart, or, kind of find your own flow. But so we got our bass. Got a couple tops. We can almost start arranging, honestly. Okay, so I was just in the session view. This is basically where I get all my clips and arrange all my audio clips, different separate audio clips. And I'm going to take this from over here and take it to the session view, or the arrangement view. And this is where you have it all laid out, and you can play with the final arrangement and whatnot. So to make it quicker, I'm just going to copy and paste loops over. There's lots of different ways you can arrange, but we're kind of strapped for time, so. Do
you have like an arrangement, like 16 bars intro, 32 bars? Yeah.
I have my kick. See, I have my kick right here, arranged in basic. This is my basic format. It's 32, 32, 16, or 16, 16, 32 break, and then goes back into a 32 drop, back into a break, back into a drop, and then you can kind of variate from there. So I have my standard layout with my kick, and then I can follow the rest of my instruments along that. So right now, if I'm in arrangement view, you're only gonna hear this so far. But obviously, at the beginning of your track, you want to be, when you're producing, you kind of want to produce for DJs as well. So you want to have it in the format, you don't want a bass coming in hot in the beginning because it's gonna be too hot. Drums are better for mixing. So take the bass, put it in the break. Take one of the top perks. And put it in the intro. Lead them into it.
So this is like the first introduction of the melody of the track.
This is coming in. This is basically the first break coming into the first drop. Now it comes in full. We're grooving. I have my standard effects. Well, I don't say standard effects, but crashes. So they're happening every 8 to 16 bars just to keep the flow going and the movement and variation. Let's see what else we can get in here. You can look for a vocal. This is tuned to F minor. I actually set this up before. You have this amazing scale plugin in Ableton, which can actually put you in key of basically any key you want to write in. So I kind of go into my track. I go in producing my track knowing what key I'm in, set it to F, F minor. It's going to change if you change the bass. It's going to change the note that you're playing, or the scale. So now we're back to F. This is one thing I recommend you do with pretty much all your samples is I have them all organized. So you can actually see the key. You can see the key text of Here, I'll put it in here. So you can see the key text of what, I don't know if you guys have mixed in key.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you use mixed in key for that? Yeah.
Mixed in key. So I put my samples into mixed in key, and it's going to automatically rename them with the key text after, right? So then basically once you get the key of your track, you can tune everything, all your samples, directly to the same scale that you're in. So you're in 4A, that pertains to F minor. You know, maybe you want to bring in a lead or some keys.
And that's using the scaler plugin as well?
Yeah, this is also using the scale plugin with a chord on it as well, which basically, when you put the chord plugin on it, this is pertaining to, each shift is pertaining to a note. So you have your root note that you're already playing. You go put the chord on it, +3 and +7 on your second note is gonna be your triad, your chord. So that's a simple way of playing chords without playing chords. You know, stabs, you wanna put some reverb on it. I have some sends and returns set up. Basically, the sends and returns are set up so I can send a channel, the effect isn't directly on the MIDI channel that you're working on, which saves CPU and a whole bunch of different stuff in automation you can do with if you're using the sends and returns, which over here they're really little right now because for space. But so you have your reverbs on your sends and returns.
You use Altiverb.
Altiverb. I'm using Altiverb right now.
Nice.
It's a really nice reverb plugin, just amazing presets and whatnot. So this one just got a percussion plate on it. Maybe we go to more of just a spring, nice feel for a synth. And also have a send for some delay, which is nice to put on your stabs and your chords. Adds a lot of ambience and fills out room. A little too much. Maybe, you know, you want to do something cool and drop the percussion out here, do a bass break. You know, switch it up.
And at what point do you start thinking about the mix? I mean, you kind of mix as you go, as you said, but do you think, okay, now I'm ready to mix it down?
You know, I actually do some of that now. I kind of mix as I go, you know. So we're gonna do some EQing. All right. So basically, when you're using this EQ8, basically on all your channels, you want to EQ8 on all your channels, right? But this low pass filter right here, this high pass filter right here, is a high pass filter. You always want to put it. You can't hear physically. Our ears can't hear frequencies under 30 hertz. It's all garbage. It's all garbage frequencies. So you want to cut that right away because it's garbage. And you can. It's there and it's taking up space, but you can't hear it, and it's just. So you want to cut that right off the back. This is more of a percussion type bass sample, so you can actually see the waveform and like the kind of like the sweet spot of where it's hitting, you know, where the bulk of the loop is or the sample. So kind of want to pinpoint that. Take out all the unnecessary. I'm gonna put this back down. And you see how this tom is coming up right here? You know, just go grab that, give it a nice little, and that's really gonna make that frequency pop. This is gonna sharpen your highs right here. You know, this is just hats and then basically a clap, right? So the most important part of this loop is gonna be in the mids, the mid range. You don't need all that low. It's just gonna, in the mix, it's gonna make it muddy and sound bad at that. So you want to take the good parts of this and boost them slightly.
So you're always looking for the part of the sound, be it a loop or a synth that has the most character.
Yeah, you want to pinpoint.
Then, yeah.
I mean, once you get the loop you want or the sound you want to pinpoint that frequency or the character that you really like of it, and then kind of take everything else away off of that. You know, EQ everything else out that's unnecessary. So
I'm interested actually about your mastering chain, because do you put a limiter on the master? Do you work into a limiter?
A mastering chain, like after the mix is done.
Or just when you're mixing?
When I'm mixing, I do have a limiter on the master. I have a limiter on the master, and I also have a compressor. Okay, so this is gonna give you basically gonna give you a fake master, which is not gonna sound as good as it's gonna be, but it's gonna be, you know, if the mix is good, it's gonna be good enough to play out. So this is just the small chain I have on my master, which is just a compressor, a limiter, which is gonna, you know, keep all your sounds leveled and not clipping. So at the end of my mix, what I would do is pull this threshold down on the compressor, which is now compressing it, gluing it together. Now dance music, when you're doing your, you know, your ratios and all this, when you're compressing it at the end, from what I've been learning, it's gonna stay within like the 1.5 to 2 ratio, because you're gonna get more bounce.
You seem super comfortable in Ableton. You're working really fast in it, but
yeah, I'm trying to.
Do you work on any hardware? Do you have any hardware outboard?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I have the TR8 at home, all the rolling stuff. So I use that when I'm doing my adding a lot of my one shots at the end. I use the TR8 in Machine and whatnot. I actually play with the System 1 too to get some cool synth sounds and whatnot. But yeah, to get the flow going, I'm mainly in the box.
Yeah. And would you stem that out to mix it, or you just mix it all in the box too?
If I need to stem it out at the end, if your CPU, because when you're mixing, sometimes you got all these plugins, these different plugins on it and whatnot, and your CPU kind of starts to jump, and so it kind of becomes a problem when you're trying to add more. So at a point, you kind of have to bounce it as audio and put it back into the session. So basically now it's a fresh session and you can start to mix it again, you know, or do the final mix. So it just depends, I guess, but.
Cool. Can you tell us a little bit about what the influence that your dad gave you? I mean, did he give you any production tips, or was all his musical tips?
He gives me production tips.
Can you reveal them to us?
In the box, Ableton while producing?
Yeah.
Because I've been giving him more tips than he's been giving me lately.
Yeah.
Because he was in
what kind of tips do you give him then?
I kind of just give him crash courses on Ableton and you know, how to get, because he was more, you know, analog and hardware. So, you know, he's trying to come back and learn. Now that he's back in the studio, he's learning Ableton. So I'm just giving him crash courses on, you know, how to EQ this and how to compress this and, you know, how to organize your stuff so it's working for you and all that. And
yeah.
the number one piece of advice I say that he gave me was, you know, when you're making music, it's got to come from the heart. You know, when I go in and I start producing, I don't really have a set mind on what I'm producing. I'm not like I want to make a track like Dusky, or I want to go in and make some hardcore techno. I kind of just start going with the vibe, and wherever it takes me, that's where I end up. So, you know.
Sure thing. Well, please give it up for Dantiez Saunderson.
Appreciate it.